Hello, hello, welcome back to yet another episode of Atheist Reads the Bible. This is the mustache era. I was Super Mario for Halloween, which will probably help inform how long it's been since I recorded this. You can instantly verify it and do the math by looking at the upload date. I already know how long it's going to be. Not precisely. I know that it's going to be a long time, because I've already recorded a bunch of episodes, and I don't plan on releasing them in a while. If you ever become a creator, be careful about getting behind. Because for example, since I post-Halloween, that means it's after October. And as many of you know, that means the holidays are around the corner. I mean, they're not now with you watching, but you got to account for those things. Thanksgiving in America, Christmas in the rest of the world. But none of that matters. All that matters is that you get your content as much as you can fill your little tummies with, metaphorically speaking. I once again don't remember where we left off. I know we were talking about Sodom and Gomorrah, and the title of the next chapter, we're in chapter 19, the title is Sodom and Gomorrah, destroyed. And I remember, the most I remember is the vague story that Abraham, we'll call him Abraham now, was pleading with God not to have it destroyed. Obviously, he wasn't successful because of the title that I just read to you. We're about to see something go down. This is probably, I guess I won't spoil things, but there's some famous stories in here, and a few references that you hear in society and in Bible class, if you've ever gone to that. Let's go ahead and get started and see what happens. The two angels arrived at Sodom in the evening. Did we read about that in the last chapter? It really has been a long time since I've recorded, and I haven't even edited the chapter 18 video yet, the time that I'm sitting here in this chair. So I don't remember there being angels, but they're speaking as though, I'm doing this with my hand because my hand itches, I just realized. But I'm going to leave it in. The two angels arrived at Sodom. I don't remember if we talked about them already, so I'm going to pretend like they're just being introduced. Maybe I did in the last one. I won't know until I edit it. The two angels arrived in Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gateway of the city. I probably would be too. Wait, who was Lot again? I really should have gotten back to this sooner. I've been busy. I have a life outside of this. You think I get paid for this? No, hopefully. Well, I don't know. I won't know. I don't know now. It's October. Actually, it's November, but it's the beginning of November, so it still feels like October to me. Let's just go along and see what we can remember. Mostly me. Lot was sitting in the gateway of the city. I was about to make a joke that he's sitting there contemplating the fact that the city's about to be destroyed, but it was Abraham who was trying to stop God. So I don't really remember Lot's role in things going on right now. When he saw them, he got up to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. That kind of makes it sound like he's standing on his feet, but he's bowing so low that his face is touching the ground. If you're on your hands and knees, is that still bowing? If you put your face to the ground? Is his face touching the ground, or is it just as close to the ground as he can get it without actually touching? My lords, he said, please turn aside to your servant's house. You can wash your feet. Angels' feet need washing. And spend the night, and then go on your way early in the morning. So angels, not only do angels need their feet washed, according to the implication of Lot, they also need to sleep during the night. No, they answered, we will spend the night in the square. No, we will spend the night in the square. I guess town Sodom. What is Sodom and Gomorrah? I've kind of always heard that the way people talk about it's like one city. But why is it Sodom and Gomorrah? Is it two different places? The only Gomorrah people know now is the one from Guardians of the Galaxy. No, they answered, we will spend the night in the square. So I thought this was like, in the Middle East. I don't know where it is actually, but it's got to be Middle East-ish somewhere. And I didn't realize they had squares like in the same style that European cities do. I'm sure there's like city centers, but I thought squares, calling something a square was like more of a European thing. I'm happy to admit my ignorance. You can always inform me. I will read the comments like I've said in the past. If you put it in the comments, I'll read it because I would like to learn. I'm just saying I don't know. Don't know what's going on here. Don't know what that means. But he insisted so strongly that they did go with him and entered his house. Nice. Lot's a little bit of a salesman. He prepared a meal for them, baking bread without yeast, and they ate. I don't know if you've ever had bread without yeast before. If I'm remembering correctly, I mean, definitely yeast is the stuff that helps bread rise. But when you don't have it, I believe it's called unleavened bread, which, again, gets mentioned at some point because that is what communion was originally. That's how it was originally consumed. You have bread and you have wine. And they would typically make unleavened bread. when I was growing up, I would go on trips. So we had yearly trips with some of my parents, like lifelong friends. And on Sunday when we would have friend church, we weren't at church because we were on vacation, so we'd do it in the house. They would make unleavened bread, which I think is what this is, just bread without yeast. And it's actually, if you've never had it, it is shockingly good. In some ways, even better than normal bread. It's like it falls really flat. It doesn't rise, like we said. And it's kind of like big flakes. It's not small flakiness, but like giant flakes of bread, kind of like layers. It's like layers of bread in this little bread pancake thing. And you can tear it off. It's like leathery. Imagine a more terrible leather. Terrible in the sense that you can tear it, but very good. Not terrible like it's bad. Very good, terrible bread. And it's just super tasty. It's got like a really dense texture. If you like dense bread, make some unleavened bread sometime. Look up how to do it. Apparently it's easy too. The people that I talked to, my friends who made it, they said it's super easy because you don't have to do as many steps. You don't have to wait as long. That's the thing with bread. If you ever made bread at home, you got to wait ages while it's not baking. You got to put it in a big bowl and just let it not bake for a long time. It's like it's basically baking at room temperature. You can imagine it's like filling up and it's all airy, and then you push it down and then you put it in the oven and you have to wait for it to actually bake. And it's delicious. I mean, don't get me wrong. It goes stale really fast. You have to eat it in like a few days. I think definitely within like a couple weeks. But unleavened bread is really good. You should try it out. Before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. They called Lot. Where are the... I remember this. Sorry, I read ahead on accident. I can just see the words that are coming up. It's hard not to laugh because it's like it's so straightforward. All the men in the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. They called to Lot. Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring us out so that we can have sex with them. Where are those men? Bring them out so we can have sex with them. This is why people say, I think it's one of the arguments that people use against gay marriage, because they're like, the men were sleeping with men. That's why God destroyed it. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Bring them out. I'm not going to say it again, because again, I don't know what all is going to get me demonetized. If that's ever even a thing. I'm not demonetized right now, obviously, because it's just after October. But I don't want to repeat certain words too much. And the irony of being demonetized over the Bible. We'll see if it happens. I mean, you won't. I will know because I'll be able to see the statistics on my video. Maybe I'll do an update. If you keep watching, and if you guys ask, again, in the comments, I will let you know the status of this video. And some of the other ones where I said questionable words. I talked one about the conflict going on near the center of the center of the Middle East, and then talking about the World War II regime, the bad regime from World War II, and they're words I don't want to say because I don't want it to demonetize the video. And there are people who make arguments like, oh, well, you shouldn't be bowing to the corporate structure. Well, if I say it, then it's not even going to reach the public in the first place. People aren't even going to hear the video or see the content at all. So, well, what do you want me to do? I'm arguing with nobody. It's just me in here. So bring them outside. That's where we were. We're only 6 verses in. Lot went outside to meet them and shut the door behind him and said, no, my friends, don't do this. Oh, he's talking to the people outside. He's talking to the men, the libitus men. The men. What's another? The aroused men. There we go. That's a softer way of putting it. No, my friends, don't do this wicked thing. Oh, this is terrible. This is one of the reasons why I'm like, this is one of the biggest things. I always think about this story when I think of how messed up the stories in the Bible are. And yeah, you can argue that it's the guy doing this, but it's just like, man, this is how people were. This is how God's followers were. Look, no, my friends, don't do this wicked thing. Look, I have 2 daughters who have never slept with a man. Ugh. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do what you like with them. Ugh. God, that is so disgusting. I don't know why this wasn't more talked about when I was growing up. It's so messed up. But don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof. Get out of our way, they replied. Actually, he just says it with a comma, so I over-embellish. Get out of our way. They replied, "This fellow came here as a foreigner, and now he wants to play the judge." So they're saying, don't tell me who we can or can't sleep with. We don't want your virgin daughters, according to Lot. We want the men. We want the angels. And I guess, no, it's too much of a... We don't have time for this. I've already talked too much for where we are in the chapter. How long is this? Okay, it's a while longer for the proportion that I've gotten through. I don't care. I'm going to upload it. What are you going to do? Stop me. Stop me from uploading it. You can't, because I'm gonna. Don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof. Get out of our way there. Okay, I read all this. Now he wants to play the judge. There we are. We'll treat you worse than them. Jesus, that is messed up. That's okay. So these are bad guys. Maybe, you know what? Maybe it should have been destroyed. Let's see. Let's keep reading. They kept bringing pressure on Lot and moved forward to break down the door. But the men inside reached out and yoinked Lot back into the house. That's not what it says. It does say something very similar. But the men inside reached out and pulled Lot back into the house and shut the door. Then they struck the men who were at the door of the house, young and old, with blindness, so that they could not find the door. God. I guess these guys are terrible people because they're just going in to, try and forcefully have sex with other men. That is really messed up. But being struck with blindness, young and old, that's intense. Maybe it's temporary. Maybe it's permanent. It doesn't say. The two men said to Lot, "Do you have anyone else here? Sons-in-law? Sons or daughters? Or anyone else in the city who belongs to you? Get them out of here, because we are going to destroy this place. The outcry of the Lord against its people is so great that he has sent us to destroy it." Just these two angels are going to do all this, apparently. I don't actually remember, but it must be. That must be what's happening here. So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law. So yes, plural, sons-in-law, who were, who were pledged to marry his daughters. So they're not as, do you become a son-in-law on engagement with someone? Not something I'm going to cover right now. He said, "Hurry and get out of this place, because the Lord is about to destroy the city." But his sons-in-law thought he was joking. That's Lot. He's always talking about apocalyptic destruction. Lot, you are crazy. We have a crazy father-in-law. We're not gonna lose this place, Lot. With the coming of the dawn, the angels urged Lot, saying, "Hurry, take your wife and your two daughters who are here, or you will be swept away when the city is punished." When he hesitated, the men grasped his hand in the hands of his wife and of his two daughters and led them safely out of the city, for the Lord was merciful to them. Why didn't they take the other two sons, the sons-in-law? Why not just coax them out? They didn't see the whole family being led away by two angels? Are these angels magnificent in appearance? Do they look like normal guys? Is that why the men wanted to have sex with them? Because they're like, look at those guys. But Lot said to them, "No, my lords, please. Your servant has found favor in your eyes, and you have shown great kindness to me in sparing my life. But I can't flee to the mountains. This disaster will overtake me, and I'll die." Yeah, that's what they said was going to happen. He's just saying things that they already said. "Look, here is a town near enough to run to, and it is small. Let me flee." It is very small, isn't it? What? "Let me flee to it. It is very small, isn't it?" That's exactly, I swear that is exactly what he said. NIV version, look it up. Genesis 19, verse 20. Chapter 19, verse 20. "Look, here is a town near enough for me to run to, and it is small. Let me flee to it. It is very small, isn't it?" "Then my life will be spared." He said to him, "Very well, I will grant..." My slippery Bible. I bent the page. He said to him, "Very well, I will grant this request too." They are very lenient with what's going on here. "I will not overthrow the town you speak of, but flee there quickly, because I cannot do anything until you reach it. I really want to destroy this town, and I can't until you get to that small town. It is very small, isn't it?" Hey, what is this? In parentheses, it says, "This is why the town was called Zoar," or Zor. It's spelled like sore, but with a Z. Z-O-A-R. Why is that why it's called Zor? Does that mean something? But flee there, he said before that, "But flee there quickly, because I cannot do anything until you reach it." That is why the town was called Zor. Someone explain that to me. By the time Lot reached Zoar, or Zor, the sun had risen over the land. I guess this all happened in one day. They stayed the night, and then now the sun's coming up. Then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. Wow. Then he overthrew those cities and the entire plain, destroying all those living in the cities and also the vegetation in the land. But Lot's wife looked back. What? But Lot's wife looked back and she became a pillar of salt. Am I missing something? I thought in this, what's going on here? I thought in this story, I swear that when I was a kid, people told me God told her not to look back. Did I read that? Am I crazy? I vividly remember being taught that his wife, what is her name? It just says Lot's wife. The women rarely get recognition. Lot's wife, it just says, the Lord started raining down burning sulfur. He overthrew the cities, destroying everything. But Lot's wife looked back and she became a pillar of salt. Just for looking back without being warned? That's the important part here. I feel like I must have missed something. Take your wife and your 2 daughters. They'll be swept away from the city as punished. Oh, I did read it. Yep. Flee for your lives. Don't look back and don't stop anywhere in the plain. I guess I read it and didn't log it in my brain. Don't look back and don't stop anywhere in the plain. Well, at least we verified it live. I'm going to leave it in the edit. I have too much, I can't sacrifice my integrity. That's not very nice. That's another thing that I really dislike about God in this instance. Just to make a lot of this has been like I'm giving opinions broadly, but this is like one of those moments where I go, I don't like God, and I think this is morally wrong. And I don't think arguments like, well, he's God, so he's immune from morality or ethics. No, I think we as humans have better ethics than this. We have figured out over centuries what is good and what is wrong. And this is wrong. Turning someone into a pillar of salt just because they look back, I don't accept. God has his reasons. I don't think murder is an appropriate punishment for looking back at the destruction that he's wreaking onto the city. That's really messed up, and it should be a moral problem for anyone watching or listening or reading the Bible. It's not okay. Anyway, for those of you I didn't lose with that rant, let's reposition the Bible here. I don't want to, there's kind of this space where I don't want to hit the microphone, but also want to hold it comfortably. I don't want to pull the Bible. It is very floppy, like I've shown before in other episodes, but I still want to keep it in good condition, you know. It's got to last a long time, like 5-6 years. Or a lifetime. That's what they actually advertise on the website. They say it's going to last you a lifetime. God, it's going to love you. Okay, they don't say that. I won't make fun of whoever's responsible for this. They're extremely rich, that's for sure. These things cost if you want to get rich, just start manipulating religious people. Sorry to vaguely insult Christians there, but don't worry, I'm not just insulting you, I'm insulting all religions. It's very easy to manipulate people emotionally when you use something that has such strong conviction from people. That's just a fact. Even if you're a Christian, that should be perfectly acceptable to you as a line of logic. It's easy to manipulate people based on spiritualism. Anyway, for those of you still here, early the next morning, we're back to Abraham. Early the next morning, Abraham got up and returned to the place where he had stood before the Lord. He looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah, toward all the land of the plain, and he saw dense smoke rising from the land, like smoke from a furnace. So when God destroyed the cities of the plain, he remembered Abraham, and he brought Lot out of the catastrophe that overthrew the cities where Lot had lived. And that's the end of that section. We still have another section. This is actually much shorter. It's just this much. Look at my fingers. It's this much. That's all we have left. Lot and his daughters. Yeah, so the previous story is done. We're shifting to this other one. It's still Lot, I guess. Lot and his 2 daughters left Zoar and settled in the mountains, for he was afraid to stay in Zoar. He and his 2 daughters lived in a cave. That's cool. Which is any bears. One day, the older daughter said to the younger, "Our father is old." And oh no, I think I know what this story is too. These are messed up stories back. What's going on in these early chapters here, or mid chapters? How long is Genesis? Okay, Exodus is on page 88. 50 chapters. We're 40% of the way. Yeah, 40% of the way through. Our father is old, and there is no man around. Oh, ugh. God, I can't. Okay, our father is old, and there is no man around here to give us children, as is the custom all over the earth. That's true. I mean, that is where children come from. Let's get our father to drink wine and then sleep with him to preserve our family line through our father. Man, you have to be pretty drunk to be, well, I guess it depends on who it is. Ugh, don't really like that line of thought. Let's just continue. The next day, the older daughter said to the younger, okay, I'm not rereading the same thing. The next day, the older daughter said to the younger, last night I slept with my father. Let's get him to drink wine again, and you go in and sleep with him. so that we can preserve our family line through our father. So they got their father to drink wine that night also. So he must not have remembered the first one, or I don't know, and wouldn't even been hungover. And it's hard to do it when you're hungover and drunk at the same time. I mean, I guess the drinking probably makes you feel better for a little bit, and then you're just hungover worse after that. But I mean, this is so messed up. The younger daughter went in and slept with him. I mean, I understand they lost the sons-in-law from Sodom and Gomorrah from the destruction, but come on, there's still other men in the world. You don't got to resort to this. And they're in a cave? Again, he was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. What a weird detail. Again, she was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. Ugh. Okay, we're at the end. So both of Lot's daughters became pregnant by their father. And they're worried about what we teach in our schools. The older daughter had a son, and she named him Moab. He is the father of the Moabites of today. I guess at the time of the writing. The younger daughter also had a son, and she named him Ben-Ami. He is the father of the Ammonites of today. Whew, what a chapter. What an episode.